Good Sunday morning, sports fans. How you doing? I am Kendrick, the sports guy, and guess what? It is time to rap a taste about some sports. Good Sunday morning to you. Happy January. Hope your new year is going well. Actually, give a shameless plug to myself. This is my born day weekend, by the way. I am I'm done celebrating. I didn't really do too much celebrating, especially after Saturday's Packers and Niners game. We'll talk about that here in just a second. But again, my born day was this past Friday, and I have been showed a lot of love on social media. So I want to say right here and now, thanks to all those that wished me a happy born day. But again, we're talking sports. It is Sunday sports chat time. Again, I'm your host, Kendrick, the sports guy, and you are watching the best 30-minute sports talk show on social media. That is TFG Sports Media. And by the way, make sure, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, you like, you share this to all your social media platforms, as well as Kendrick Sports Hustle. That's SporTZHustle. Make sure you like and subscribe to both of those on YouTube, and make sure you like and follow both on Facebook. And you also can follow me on Instagram at Kendrick1969, as well as follow me on TikTok. That's Kendrick Henderson 51. So make sure you do all that good stuff. You come in and comment. Let me know you're in here, and we're going to holler for a little bit. The Real Estate Insider, my man, good Sunday morning to you. Make sure you subscribe to his channel too, The Real Estate Insider. He's showing some of these celebrity homes, and they are dope. So go over there and subscribe to his channel. Matter of fact, the whole TFG network. Subscribe to everybody. TFG Ratchet. We got a new one that just debuted on yesterday, Ladies Night. Make sure you subscribe to that channel as well. Him and Hers. Make sure you subscribe to that as well on YouTube. Again, the TFG Ratchet, Real Estate Insider, Lamb Levity. It's all. I don't want to miss anything, but just type in TFG Media on YouTube, do a search, and make sure you subscribe to all the channels. Make sure, and first and last but certainly not least, make sure you do TFG Sports Media. You feel me? Don't forget about your boy over here giving you the sports, as they say in the South. So again, I'm gonna give you guys a few more minutes just in case some people want to pop in. We're gonna be talking basically, it's NFL season time, and if you don't know who I am a fan of, matter of fact, hold on just a second before we get going. I got something else I want to show you. I got my beanie on. I got a glass that was made for me with the Green Bay Packers logo, and it has my name on the back, Kendrick. I got that from some co-workers. Shout out to FedEx. Shout out to Veronica and Kelly for making that for me. And I also got another Green Bay mug. So I am greened up. I'm going to always be greened up. Unfortunately, we didn't get the win last night, and we're going to talk about that. But we're going to talk about that Ravens and that Texans game first. So let's go ahead and jump into it without further ado. Just like the pastors say on Sunday, I don't plan to keep you here very long. But if we're going to stay a little bit, if you're going to chat with me, we can stay for a little bit. So let's talk about that first divisional game that went down on Saturday. It was the number 1 seeded Ravens hosting the number 4 seeded Texans. The Texans were the Cinderella team. I would say them and my Packers were both wearing those glass slippers. And both of us actually the 12 midnight, the glass slipper turned into a crock because both of us had to end up going home. But let's talk about the Ravens, man. 34-10. I watched this game from beginning to end. It was tied up 10-10 at the half. It was really tight. I thought the Texans were in a really good position. But then the second half started, whatever Lamar Jackson and Jim Harbaugh said to the Ravens at halftime, it worked because their first 3 drives in that second half resulted in touchdowns, and they ate up a lot of clock, and that was a ball game. The Ravens just they posed that running game on the Texans, and I think the Texans defense got tired. in that second half because the Ravens went on those long drives. And what can you say about Lamar Jackson? I mean, I think at this point it is a given that he's going to win the regular season MVP. I think that is a given. What's up, Charles? Bang bang, not a game, no doubt. No doubt. You should be celebrating. That was a good win. You know, we had a couple of the Packers had. We'll talk about that, but let me continue talking about the Ravens and the Texans. The Lamar Jackson. That's what I was talking about. He showed us why he is who he is. Yesterday. He basically took over the game in that second half. The Texans defense held him in check pretty good there for the first half. They got 3 sacks on him, matter of fact. And but that second half they made the adjustments. They put that run game on them, and then that was a wrap. The Texans couldn't get their run game going. CJ Stroud actually didn't play bad for a rookie, his first second playoff game. He didn't play bad, but they just didn't make enough plays. The Houston defense, again, they got tired. That Ravens run game, 229 total yards rushing, that took a toll on their defense, and then that was a wrap. The highlight for the Texans, they didn't even score off an offensive touchdown. They scored their touchdown on the punt return. But the Texans don't have anything to hang their head down about. I mean, a rookie head coach, rookie quarterback, a franchise that had been in turmoil the last couple of years. They finally got themselves together, and the big win over Cleveland last week, and they came into Baltimore. That was going to be a tall task anyway. So the Texans, they got a lot to build on. They got a lot to build on, so they shouldn't hang their heads. Now the Ravens, they on a mission, man. They trying to get to this. This will be their first AFC Championship game in 11 years, and I read some history facts today too that this will be the first AFC Championship game hosted in Baltimore since January of 1971. So Baltimore is going to be lit. They're going to be lit for real. And they should be. Charles says, Lamar Jackson said, get on my back. We're going to the AFC Championship. He definitely did do that. I agree. Jaquithia says, no one expected the Texans to even make the playoffs. Bam. Exactly. So they have nothing to hang their head about. The Texans got they got a lot to build on. They couldn't get it. They couldn't get it going, man. That offensively, and that says something about the Ravens defense too. Ravens defense is stout. I think they were ranked number 2 in the league against the run. So it was going to be a tall task running the football on them from the beginning. But hats off to the Ravens. Hats off to Lamar Jackson. Some people think he's MVP worthy. Some people think that he's just a regular guy. But I think when you look at Lamar Jackson in his totality, he's a football player that can ball, and he can play the quarterback position. Regardless of what you think, he can play that position. And he got them on their back. So now they're waiting on the winner of that Bills and Chiefs game that's going down at 5:30 Central Standard Time today. So the Ravens get to host an AFC Championship game. It'll be their first AFC Championship game in 11 years. Now let's move on to the more painful. I know Charles, he decided to pop in here because I know why he popped in, because of the Niners. And believe me, I'll be honest with you. My fandom, obviously, I was going to definitely pull for my Packers. I wasn't rooting against them, but, I also knew that this was going to be a tall task going into Niner country to beat them, because the Niners have had the Packers number in the playoffs for the last couple of years. Matter of fact, this was the Niners' 5th straight playoff win over Green Bay. And as I said on a segment I did on TFG Sports Media, shameless plug, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. I basically said the Niners have been a thorn in Green Bay's ass, and it continues. But that game, it was this close. If the Packers kicker would have made that 41-yard field goal, that game would have been tied up instead of the Niners getting the win 24-21. But hats off again to the Niners. It's going to be interesting to see how they move forward. Will Debo be ready? for the NFC Championship game because he only played like a little bit of the first quarter and he was done. I think he injured that shoulder again. Will he be ready to play versus whomever, the Lions or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? But again, that game was a nail biter. It was only 7-6 at the halftime. The weather wasn't. It was rainy, somewhat cool in Levi Stadium. The turf wasn't all that great. Players were slipping all over the place. You know, they didn't get traction. They were changing their cleats every now and then, trying to get the right, cleat on that field. But hats off to the Niners. Now, my Packers, again, I say this about, like I said about the Texans. The Packers had nothing to hang their head about. Jordan Love showed me. I know he was going to be up and down this year, but the last couple of weeks he showed me he's a player. He showed some consistency. Making good decisions. Obviously, those 2 interceptions weren't, anytime you turn the ball over in the playoffs, you want to limit that. And he had those 2 interceptions, which did hurt us quite a bit. Charles says Packers don't have anything to be ashamed of. Aaron Jones should have gotten more carries. I agree. And those rookie kickers. Yeah, that's why I was saying our rookie kicker, Anders Carlson, yeah. But the thing about it too, Charles, he's been missing field goals and PATs all season. That was his 13th missed kick, and that's including field goals and point after touchdowns. So, I mean, I guess we already knew he was going, he hasn't been automatic, but dang it, we dang sure needed that 41-yard field goal to make this game interesting. But again, hats off to Green Bay, Matt LaFleur. I have been somewhat on the fence about him, but these last couple of weeks he showed me that he's a damn good play caller. He knows how to call. He knows how to call a game. Jordan Love, what's Love got to do with it? I'm sure the memes are going to be. I already had some memes sent to me. Ha ha, woo woo woo. That's funny. Yada yada. Some of these memes be corny. Y'all need to go to meme school, whoever making these memes, because some of them really ain't that funny, to be honest with you. But I get it. But Jordan Love, again, I think, and it's something that I think that's interesting too, is that Jordan Love got to sit for a couple of seasons, which I think that helps a lot a young quarterback. I know a lot of the game now isn't like that. You paying all these quarterbacks this big money. You got to play them, but I think it does help to sit behind a quarterback for a minute. And you've seen that with Jordan Love. He sat behind Aaron Rodgers for a couple of years. Matter of fact, Aaron Rodgers did the same, sat behind Brett Favre for a couple of years. And you see where we at. Even you look at Patrick Mahomes. He sat behind Alex Smith for a year before he became Patrick Mahomes. So again, there is an advantage to be able to sit a quarterback for a year or two to kind of fit, to learn the ropes, so to speak. But to the Niners, let me say, hats off to the Niners, man. That defense is a dog. Fred Warner is a dog. I got to give a shout out to y'all, to the Niners GM, John Lynch. A lot of former players, when they move up into a position like that, a lot of them don't really have a lot of success. But I got to give it to John Lynch in the way that they've done the draft, the way they've been able to keep players, to handle their salary cap. I got to give heads off because they've been able to keep some playmakers in house, and develop some too. So hats off to the Niners, to your head coach, man. What can you say about him? He's another one of those. He's a great. Shanahan is a play caller. Hats off to him. Hats off to Christian McCaffrey. White running back that runs black. And I don't mean that in no racist type way. If somebody want to take it there, I didn't mean that in no. Christian McCaffrey is a talented running back. So hats off to the Niners. But we should have got y'all. We should have got them. We should have got him. Charles says Jordan Love made the playoffs and won a playoff game with the same wide receiver core that Aaron Rodgers said he needed a number one wide receiver. You know what, Charles? I can't really argue anything in that point. I'm going to think of something to argue about what you just said, but I can't. That's on point. Charles also says the white boy is running. You're right. He is running. So again, that was the second game last night. Even though it pained me to lose again to the Niners in the playoffs, which, by the way, the Niners are making a third straight NFC conference championship game. And hats off to them. So they await the winner of this Lions and Buccaneers game that goes down at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on today. One thing before I get out of this, the Packers game, the Packers, they overcame a 2-5 start to the season. They were fighting for their playoffs lives in the last week. And to make it to the playoffs and then win wild card weekend, going to AT&T, beat the number 2 seeded Cowboys and put a 48 piece on them, and then to be able to go to the divisional round, I would say, this season was a success for the Packers and for the Texans. Again, I think the two best teams are where they're supposed to be in the league. The Ravens are in the AFC Championship, and the 49ers are in the NFC Championship again. So that's what we got coming up. Speaking of which, the two divisional games we got left today, we got the Bills at the Chiefs. Again, that's the night game on CBS. And we got the Buccaneers at the Lions. So those are the two remaining games. I want to know who you guys got for these two games today. Put it in the comment section. And let me know who you got. And speaking of which, I got to give a shout out to Jaquithia. I think she's in the comment section. Thank you, Jaquithia, for posting this, by the way. So this was from a newscast from Thursday. And if you can read that in the red, it says Reba McEntire, Usher, and Post Malone are scheduled to perform at San Francisco 49ers and the Baltimore Ravens Super Bowl matchup on February the 11th. So they made this on Thursday. The games hadn't even been played yet, but they already said the Super Bowl was going to be the Niners and the Ravens. But you know what's funny? As I responded to Jaquithia when she posted this, I was like, well, I did pick those two teams to be in the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. So yeah, this could be premature, but they on point thus far. We'll see. So I thought that was funny. I wanted to show that to you guys. Charles says the Lions and the Bills. So he got the Lions and the Bills. I got the Lions and the Chiefs, actually. I'm going with the Lions and the Chiefs. Charles says, we all know it's rigged. Okay, here we go with the conspiracy theory. I never jump on this rigged stuff. I know people love to throw that around. I never jump on this rigged stuff. Not when you talk about a physical contact sport like football. I don't believe in that hype, but I'm not getting ready to go down that rabbit hole. But that's just my thoughts on that. So again, I just thought this was a funny picture. Again, thank you, Jaquithia, for bringing this one to my attention. So we're gonna stay in tackle football. We're gonna stay in football. I actually did a segment on this. Shameless plug again. Make sure you like and subscribe to TFG Sports Media and Kendrick Sports Hustle if you haven't already. There was a bill introduced late last year by Assemblyman Kevin McCarthy, a Democrat out of Sacramento, where they want to ban youth tackle football for those under the age of 12. You heard that right. The state of California, there's a proposal to ban youth tackle football for kids under the age of 12. And the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, has already said that if this makes it to his desk, that he's going to veto it. And actually, I kind of agree with the governor on this. And the reason why he said he would veto it was because he feel like the parents should have a say. It should be up to the parents if they want to allow their child to play youth tackle football. And I totally agree with that. We already have enough of government mandates. Government want to get in our business about our personal lives, about how we do stuff. And now you want to tell a parent when and if they can allow their child to play tackle football. I don't agree with this bill. Now, McCarthy did say that the reason why he introduced this is because of his research on brain injuries, and that at a certain age, a child's brain isn't fully developed. If they're getting hit numerous times, that could stunt, their brain development and also cause other physical limitations later on. I understand that. But here's the thing I would respond to that too. I think more so than allowing them to play tackle football, I think we should be making sure that the coaches that are coaching youth league football are uh, experienced and adequate to do so. I think that's the biggest problem with youth sports. Period. Is you have coaches that don't know that they're not coach material. They don't have the experience or the accreditation to be coaching. How many times have you seen coaches coaching youth players in no matter what sport and teaching them wrong fundamentals? Matter of fact, just teaching them wrong sportsmanship as well. But the fundamentals more so than anything. How many youth coaches have you seen that? We've already seen incidents between that's happened at youth league games where the coaches are acting like kids, parents too. So I think the biggest thing is I think you shouldn't take that out of the hands of the parents. Now, I do believe that a child 5 years old shouldn't be playing contact football. Now, my oldest son, Kendrick Jr., we had him in Pop Warner football. I think he was maybe 5. Yeah, I think he was 5. And it's funny because the shoulder pads and all that stuff was bigger than them. And now the back thinking on it, we probably shouldn't have allowed him to play at that age. I think 5 is a little too young to have them playing uh, contact football, tackle football. Now 7, 8, I think is the perfect age. I think that's when you should allow them to start playing because then you can really start teaching them the fundamentals. That is, if you have the right coaches in place. That's my opinion. So again, I don't think this bill is going to be enacted, but I'm sure a lot of states are looking at this just to see what happens. Now, we already know that ain't going down in Texas and Florida. Well, and probably California too. When you talk about high school football and all football, those 3 states produce most of the doggone professional football players and college football players that you see. So we already know this bill ain't gonna stand a chance. I don't think in California, and it damn sure wasn't gonna stand a chance in Texas or Florida and Louisiana for that matter, and Georgia. So I'm gonna keep my eye on this. I don't think it's gonna make it past. Like I say, I don't think it's gonna get out of the assembly and make it to Gavin Newsom's desk. But it is something to think about. I know a lot of parents are pulling their young boys out of football. A lot of them are pushing them to play soccer and baseball and those sports, basketball and all that, because they're afraid of, again, the CTE stuff, the brain injuries and all that. But I think you just gotta, as a parent, you can't take that out of the hands of the parents, in my opinion, to make that decision. I think if a parent wants their child to play football, let them play. Just as long as they getting the right type of coaching and putting them in, not putting them in harm's way. That's just my opinion. So I'd like to know what you guys think about that bill introduced in California. Do you think it will pass? And what do you think about that? Do you have any young football players? Do not want them to play anymore, or will you not allow them to play until they get in certain age? Make sure you leave that in the comments, and I'll review it later, and we can talk about it. So let's get down to our last topic before we get out of here. We're talking college basketball. We had an issue that happened Wednesday night down at UT Austin, where the head coach Rodney Terry, he had a problem with the UCF players. Speaking of which, UCF finally got their first road win in Big 12 play when they went to Texas on Wednesday and beat them 77-71. And after that big victory, the UCF, 6 or 7 of the players were doing the horns down sign. If you're not familiar with that, that is a lot of these schools that play Texas, they troll the Texas athletes using that sign because it's horns up. That's what they do at UT Austin. Well, Rodney Terry would during the post-game handshake line, he would go in on these UCF players. He wouldn't talk to the coach. He would go in on the players, and then he would continue his rant in his post-game presser, basically calling them classless. You should never go into, I'm paraphrasing here, you should never go into a game feeling like you're going to lose. You should always act like you're going to win, and when you win with some class and sportsmanship. You don't need to be celebrating all over opposing teams' logo and throwing the horns down sign, yada, yada, yada. I kind of feel I agree and disagree on one point. I disagree on a team that wins, especially if it's a big win over a team that probably no one has a chance that gave them a chance to win. Well, how you gonna tell these young athletes how to celebrate? As long as they weren't taunting the other players, which UCF weren't, they weren't taunting the Texas Longhorn players. They were all in their own little group in front of a camera doing the horns down. Big deal. They won, and you can't. I don't think as a coach you should be trying to narrate how a team celebrates a win. Uh, but on the flip side, I kind of get his point about class and sportsmanship. But they did shake the Texas Longhorns players' hands. It wasn't like they didn't shake their hands. So I'm trying to figure out what was the sportsmanship part about. Now all this is subjective. Talking about winning with class, that's subjective, or being class. That's all subjective. It all depends on whose lens looking at it, or where they looking at it from. So Terry would somewhat back down from those statements. I think he will issue an apology on yesterday, saying that he went a little bit too far on going at these young men about how they celebrated. So again, that shows you how emotions be raw after a loss, or a lot of times with me being in the media. I've worked in the media quite like half my life. I understand sometimes when you stick a microphone in an athlete or a coach's face right after a loss, a lot of times you probably should wait, because a lot of times they're going to be going off adrenaline. They already pissed off about losing, so sometimes they're going to give you some raw, uncut stuff. Now for media, that's lovely. That's some of the stuff we love to get, the raw and uncut emotion stuff. But sometimes I think we can go overboard sticking microphones in coaches and players' faces after they just lost a game. But to Rodney Terry, I just think he was wrong for going at these players. First of all, right there in the handshake line. I think if you was going to talk to anybody, talk to their head coach. Don't talk to the players; those aren't your players. You talk to the head coach of those players. And the UCF players were respectful from what I could see. I saw the video. Obviously, these are just the stills, but I did see the video, and they seem to be respectful to Rodney Terry. But again, you can't dictate, you can't narrate how a team celebrates how they win. I mean, come on, man. Let's grow up. These are young men. It ain't like they little bitty 8 or 9 years old. Come on, that was a little bit too much, Coach Terry. So again, I'd like to know what you guys think about this horns down, this big controversy. Matter of fact, this was a big controversy. I want to say last year when Oklahoma matter of fact, yeah, it was an Oklahoma Texas game. I want to say maybe 2 years ago. The Big 12 would enact a penalty for anybody that would in football, that is in the Big 12, that did the horns down. I think in front of that opponent, or taunting. And I get that, that's taunting, but to me that's being ticky tack anyway. That ain't that big of a deal. I mean, it's football. That's how we do. That's just part of the bravado and what we do, playing sports, making it competitive. So anyway, that was Rodney Terry, and we're done with that. So we've come to the end of the show. I want to thank my guy Charles Moore. I want to thank the Real Estate Insider. I want to thank Jaquithia Sims for popping in. Again, we got NFL divisional games today. We got kicking off here in a couple of about around 2 Central Standard Time. We have the Buccaneers at the Lions. Who would have thought the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would made it to the divisional round, as well as the Lions? And we got them kicking off here at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think that's NBC. I could be wrong, but I think it's NBC. And then 5:30 Central Standard Time, we have the Bills at the Chiefs on CBS. That kicks off 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, 5:30 Central. So make sure you like, subscribe to TFG Sports Media, Kendrick Sports Hustle on YouTube. Make sure you like and follow TFG Sports Media and Kendrick Sports Hustle on Facebook. Make sure you can follow me as well on Instagram. That's Kendrick1969. You can also follow me on TikTok, Kendrick Henderson 51. So again, I want to thank everybody that dropped in. I want to thank again everyone that wished me a happy born day. I ain't really do no celebrating. I ain't do anything. I was just watching football all day and was drinking me some wine. So there you have it. That's what you do when you turn the big 5-5. So again, I want to thank everybody for wishing me a happy born day. You guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Again, some got NFL Divisional playoff football coming up. I hope you all have a great start to your week. And we'll see you on the other side and on the next report. I am Kendrick, the sports guy. I am out. Peace.